What's going on, guys? We're back in my messy garage. I did some upgrades on my Trek Marlin 7 that I've talked to you guys about, and today I want to do a little bit of an update on the handlebars and the stem that I put on. And right here I also have another BMX bike that I just purchased sitting right next to my Marlin. I'm not going to get into that today, so this is just a little sneak preview. For the viewers out there that have been following me for a while, you guys know what I have on here already, but let me give you a quick refresher. Right here I have a PNW Range Handlebar KW edition, and I put that on with the PNW Range Stem Gen 3. So I've had them on for almost a year, and I put them on basically because of the riding style that I wanted to get into. The Trek Marlin 7 is a cross-country bike, and a lot of people buy the cross-country bikes because they're less expensive to get you into mountain biking. So the trail bikes, the enduro bikes, and of course the downhill bikes all cost a little bit more than buying a cross-country bike. So I bought a Trek Marlin 7. It's I would consider a higher-end cross-country bike to get into mountain biking. I wasn't sure how much I was going to get into it, and I didn't know what type of riding I wanted to do. As I kept riding, I figured out that I wanted to go more into a trail type of bike. So the way that I was sitting on the Marlin 7, the way that it felt to me just didn't feel that comfortable. It was great if you wanted to get that forward lean and to get that speed kind of leaning over the bike. But for me, when I was doing some of the flow trails, trying to do some jumps and things like that, I was leaning forward too much and I had too much weight on that front wheel. Especially going around the berms, it just didn't feel comfortable. So my goal was to get a handlebar that had a higher rise, one that was wider, and one that I could bring a little bit closer to me. So a refresher here, the PNW Range Handlebar, this is the KW edition. It's not available anymore. I think that they're on the Gen 3 now. This was a 780 millimeter width versus the 720 that came stock on the Marlin 7. The Gen 3, I believe, is an 800 millimeter, and I kind of wish I went with that. The 780 I thought was going to be a big jump, but it ended up not being that big of a jump for me. And I think that the 800 would actually be just as well suited as the 780. The 800 you could also cut down, so if it is too big, you can actually cut it down. So I kind of wish that I went with the 800 to try it out, but that's probably the only gripe that I have here on buying these handlebars. So the wider handlebar, what's it for? Basically, it gives you better control and better stability. If you're trying to make sharp turns, it might be harder if you have shorter arms because your arms are farther out. So to really turn that wheel, it might be a little bit harder. But, you know, flow trails going downhill and everything like that, you know, you got a lot of speed, you're going around berms, it shouldn't be an issue at all. But obviously, you know, it's based on your height, based on the placement and everything like that and how you feel comfortable. So these bars also have a 30 millimeter rise versus the 5 millimeter rise. So you'll see here the angle that this goes up, if you guys can see that. So that's the rise, how it goes up higher. So for me, that made it so that I could sit up a little bit more rather than leaning so far forward that I was putting so much weight onto the handlebars. So that helped me a lot. My personal preference, as I mentioned, is that I want to get more into a trail bike, but you know, I'm working with the cross-country bike that I have now, doing some upgrades to make it have a little bit of a different feel, to make sure that that's really where I want to go also. So basically this is getting set up so that I can get more into techie type rides, more flow trail type rides, and because I want to work on my jumping that you guys have maybe seen in some of my other videos. And this is the path that I took that I felt would be the best for me to help me get to that point. I've had these on here for about a year. And again, this is to shift the position of me sitting more upright, to shift my weight backwards. And the dropper post helps with that also, because once I can drop that, you know, I don't have that kind of like forward lean. It allows me to sit back. So with the handlebars and that dropper post back there, it really helps me to bring my weight back, especially when I'm going down very steep declines. And of course, doing that, it also takes the weight off the front tire, because when I have a lot of weight on the front tire, it doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like I could probably go over my handlebars a little bit easier, especially on certain turns and things like that. And then of course, that wider handlebar, like I mentioned, a little bit more stability, a little bit more control. So then I also got the Range stem, which is this right here. This is actually a mount for a GoPro. I've never used it. I kind of wish that I didn't put it on there, because to be honest, the GoPro there doesn't work that well. It works better having a chest mount, or at least that's the way I like to ride. So I'll probably never actually mount it there. What this would be good for is if I have the camera pointed back towards me. But if you guys watch my video, you know I've never really put my face on camera. So I haven't used it. I'm probably not gonna use it. It's there. To take it off, there's actually a screw underneath, so I'd have to take the handlebars off, basically take the front piece off and then unscrew it. So I just haven't done that. It's not in the way, it's not really heavy. It is metal, it's not plastic, so it's good quality. I just haven't had a need for it. But the real reason I got it is because the range stem Gen 3 that's on here is a 40 millimeter versus the 80 millimeter that was on here. So an 80 millimeter basically here came out to here. So my handlebars were actually pulled out more over my front tire. Again, we're going back to how I was really kind of leaned over, too much weight on that front tire. So this is actually helping me to get that upright, bringing my weight back for the downhill, for the flow trails that I've been riding, and to help me with jumping and things like that. So basically, you know, I have this combo here. I have the combo of, I mean, I have a lot of things done that if you guys have seen, I did tires, I did the dropper post, I got different pedals, you know, things like that. But let's just talk about, you know, we're just talking about the handlebars and the range stem. So basically what that combo got me was wider, higher, and closer to me. It basically gave me a way to distribute my weight better on the bike in a more comfortable way for the type of riding that I want to do. So for me in the riding that I wanted to do, this was 100% better setup. I've been riding this for almost a year now. I think it was around August of 2021 that I put them on. It's now July of 2022. So I've been riding them for a while. I also put on these grips. You can see they're a little bit dirty. I haven't cleaned them. But this has been a great setup. If you are riding a cross-country bike and there's a lot of lean forward and you guys are trying to kind of just look to switch it up a little bit to get a different kind of stance, maybe do more trail type riding if you were to have a trail bike, then this may be a setup you want to consider. I'm not saying this is the end-all setup or the best cockpit that you could have, but I am saying that this is an option. For me, it was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted to do. So guys, do your research, but check these out. I think this is great. I'm going to link to my original video so you can see when I did the unboxing and install and talking about it in the beginning. One of the issues that I actually had, or one of the issues that I was worried about when I first put this on, was that having more upright and bringing the weight back was that pedaling uphill was going to make me pull my front tire up more. So I was already doing that on the bike with the 80 millimeter stem, with the stock handlebars that had much more weight over the front tire. And with this, you know, thinking that I'm sitting upright, that I'm bringing the weight back, I was like, oh, you know, it's definitely gonna bring the front tire up more as I'm climbing. And it's done the exact opposite. It's actually because I'm in a more comfortable position where I don't feel extended having my arms way out. You know, I'm not always kind of pulling back as I pedal because I'm in a much better comfortable position. So this has actually helped me to not pull up my front tire on climbs, and it's actually been a lot better for climbing for me. So one of the fears that I had, or one of the worries that I had, actually didn't actually end up being something that I need to worry about. But yeah, if you guys are looking for this type of riding, if you guys are looking to switch up your bike because you're doing a different type of style riding than maybe the cross-country bike you bought, because like me, you bought it because it was a more entry-level price, then consider this. I will also link you to where I bought these. I got these off of Worldwide Cyclery. Great company to deal with. Link in the description. Guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.